Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have the most amazing woman to introduce you to? It's Shelley Brown. Welcome, Shelley.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Linda. Thanks so much for having me here. It's such an honor to be with you.
Well, it's a pleasure for sure. I love chatting with you. Okay, so we're going to talk about there's no such thing as stuck. Like, really? How's that? You've definitely been in a place in your life where you were stuck, right? And then it's like, no, I wasn't. So tell us a little bit there
Oh,
too.
gosh. Many, many times I felt like I was stuck, whether it was in a job that I hated, whether it was during a time of a chronic injury. Just so many times this notion of stuck kept repeating itself in my life where I didn't see choices. And it came out of me as so much anger.
Ah,
Because I felt like a rat in a cage. And when we feel stuck, I can speak for me, I feel like I have no choices.
right.
I foreverize everything. And that's a word that I made up, foreverize.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
good.
yeah, it's when you think the thoughts in your head, when you feel stuck, that it's going to last forever. And there is no realization of impermanence at all.
Right.
And you don't, it's like I couldn't even self reflect on the other times that I thought I was stuck and they ended.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't reference those times. And even when people would remind me, my anger and rage put a wall up of seeing choices and opening up to possibilities
Right.
because of that looping. And
Yeah.
it's regret, it's remorse, it is guilt, it's shame, and it's like a looping of a circle that continues and continues, and you don't know how to break that chain.
Right. And yet we have a choice, right? So what did you do and how did you find that way? What choice did you make or what choices did you make?
It's a great question. So it used to be that I would have to really go on a freight train to a roller coaster down a rabbit hole and then go through just this craziness to be like, oh, I'm okay. That's what I was supposed to learn. And I didn't know that I could circumvent the freight train to the roller coaster to the rabbit
Oh,
hole.
cool.
I know. And a lot of people, if we're honest with ourselves, when we don't see choices and possibilities, we do go through this crazy train ride to realize, oh my gosh, I'm okay now. But through the practice of mindfulness and meditation, I've learned to circumvent the crazy train.
Wow. That's
And
huge.
yeah, and I thought that mindfulness and meditation was for tea drinking yogis. And I was like, no way. I'm this ultra marathoner type A, think I
Move,
can
move, move.
do anything. Really funny because here I am thinking I'm all that and I can't get unstuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
practice of mindfulness and meditation, and I'm not a Buddhist and I am not a yogi. In fact, I hate yoga, to be honest with you. I mean,
You and my husband. What's with you people?
I have titanium in my spine, so it's not
Oh,
that comfortable. And
yeah.
I shouldn't say hate it, but I
Yeah.
think that what happened was I came from such a hard ass life where I was this
Mm-hmm.
athlete and thought I was so tough.
Oh,
And
yeah, right?
inviting ease and softness sounded like really wimpy and
Like, ah.
totally right. And doing this, I had been bulimic for years, by the way. So that's a
Wow.
manifestation of anger, right?
Yeah.
How about some rage, spilling out rage? But in any event, I learned the practice of meditation, and it doesn't have to look like sitting like this or sitting like this. It
Mm-hmm.
be listening to music and listening to all the nuances of music and just paying attention. It could be eating an apple and like tasting and smelling and feeling what this apple feels like.
Yeah.
It could be standing with your feet on the ground and being connected to the earth and raising up your arms to let all the energy go through your body. It
Yeah.
could be setting your iPhone timer to take 4 deep breaths in 1 minute.
Yep.
It could be a mantra. I am right here, right now, right here,
Yeah.
right here, right now. Whatever it is, it could be taking a deep breath, counting to 4 and exhaling. So it doesn't have to look like what people think it looks like.
Right. And I'm a dancer, so it better be active. I better be able to be walking like in the woods, or sitting on my bed and, using gel pens with sparkles, and coloring small little spaces. I can't stand most coloring books, but those ones with those small little spaces is perfect for me. And this is called active meditation. And I didn't even know that it existed. I just knew what I liked and what I didn't like. And then some people have said, oh yeah, that's active meditation. I'm like, well, good, check that off. I am a meditator, aren't I?
Yeah. And a lot of people think that meditation is zoning out, and that is not what it is. There are some meditations that are relaxation and calming. The meditation that I really practice is the noticing meditation, is noticing. So
Beautiful.
it is the act of noticing when your mind has wandered and coming back to whatever it is that you're doing, because that's like the bicep curl for the brain. It's
Right.
noticing when your mind has wandered and coming back. And when you continually practice this, you build up the noticing muscle, so that what happens then is you will, when you notice your mind is drifting off into the panic, into the crisis, into the foreverizing, that is a moment of choice to
Right.
come back to this present moment where you know that you're right here, right now. And that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's not like sit down and make sure your mind doesn't wander. It's like you're referring to, like you doing the dishes and all of a sudden, you go, right? And then noticing you did, and then bringing it back to really, even feeling into the sensory of doing the dishes, right? And being conscious of what you're doing in the moment, that sort of staying in the now. My husband and I talk about when that idea of the mind wanders and you're getting into the chatter and even the negative. We talk about the movies, and so over on the right side of the brain is like we're running emotional pictures, almost like a movie. And what happens when someone, finds out bad news, right? What is the very first thing that they do? They go like this. And if it's super bad news, they'll even grab their gut, because that's one of our brains as well, right? And sometimes their legs go out from under them and they just crumple to the ground. So when you put your hand over your forehead, it's almost as if you have wires coming out of both sides of your brain. So when your hand goes here, then energetically those wires have this opportunity to cross. And what you're doing is you're actually bringing logic over into the emotional pictures that you're running. And my background's special education, so I always taught the kids, my hand is my helper, just to remind them when they're starting to lose it, when they go like this. And I worked in a psychiatric day treatment center with very violent kids, and man, that worked so good. And I could even do it for them. I could just think the kid and do it, and behavior just changed just like that. So that's been really fun too. All right, and go ahead.
I love that for a couple of reasons. One, for self-compassion, the hand on the heart, or the hand on
Oh yes, you and your heart stuff, love it.
That's like super comforting, and we can talk about self-compassion in a minute. But one thing that you said, like wires coming out of your head, when we're in this pattern of stuck, it's like our wires get crossed, and we process things through the amygdala, which is fear.
Yep.
And after the practice of meditation for even as short as 8 weeks,
Okay.
it literally changes the brain. Our brain it's the neuroplasticity. So reset and then begin processing through the prefrontal cortex, which helps us make sense of things.
Yeah, and
that reaction, fear mode.
Right, and the trouble is there's a lot of people who their brains aren't hooked up. Like it's almost impossible for them to access up there, right? And so there's actually movements that hook your brain up, like standing and bending your knees up and down with your arms like right on your along your sides. That's the fish movement. That's way back here. And then there's the amphibian movement. So you're kind of doing movements like a frog, and right. And then there's the mammalian, you know, with the ability to go like left and right, like your right arm's out and your left leg's back, you know, that alternate stuff. And then the simian level is like the crossing over. So like you're marching and touching opposite hand to knee. And then the human, where we can actually talk, you know, so just doing the marching and counting 1, 2, 3, and that literally can hook up the brain. It's amazing. And then there's infant reflex integration work, where you're replicating the movements infants make in their first year of life. And all of that is like super calming, as well as it, you know, hooks up the brain. And so I studied under Dr. Harold Blomberg, and he literally went into a psych center for patients who had been hospitalized for 10 years with schizophrenia, pretty much didn't come out of their rooms, got all of them willing to come out of their rooms, and 2 of them actually left the hospital to lead, you know, typical lives, and one of them went on to get like a PhD. It's like incredible what you can do when the brain is hooked up. And so I love what you're talking about, and it's so true, to do that work, you know, down on that lower brain stem. And it's amazing, even with meditation, what's been happening even for like PTSD and things like that, post-traumatic stress disorder.
And I will say, you know, there are times where people have limited physical movement, and I was in that place where I had that limited physical movement, and having been such a physical athlete, to not be able to move my body, I had to learn different ways, because a lot of people use physical movement to de-stress. A lot of people use it as a way to mitigate stress. And when that becomes such a huge, important part of your life, and you no longer have that ability, you have got to have another way. We're all going to age. We are all going to get older, God willing, and or higher power willing, whatever it is. And our movement is going to be limited. And so we have to find a sustainable way to ground.
We get to. And I would love to see in a nursing home or a hospital, you know, the nurses or whatever take the hands of the patients and go like this, because even just doing this helps the brain so much. It's incredible. So I hear you. Okay, and so we talked about kind of thought loops as well. Did you want to say anything else there?
It's really, you know, a lot of us do go into thought loops. We have memories, and the two biggest distractions that we have are, one, you know, regret, remorse about the past. You know, we can't be happy with what's happening right now, and so we're arguing with reality. You know, we're thinking, I'll be happy when, you know, I'll be happy when this is over. I'll be happy when it's the weekend. I'll be happy when it's 5 o'clock. I'll be happy when he, she, or they stop doing that crap. We just can't be happy, or we're, you know, complaining, or we're in fear and worry, and we have these looping, and everybody does have this looping process. The ability to recognize it is not just to say stop, it's recognize and explore with curiosity and interest, rather than self-judgment and self-condemnation and shame. Being curious about, you know, what is this, can help us really see and explore what is this all about, and then nurture yourself and give that voice what it needs. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's, okay, I can let this go. This is not happening right now. So curiosity and interest opens us up to see what it is that we need at that moment with that looping.
I love it. That's excellent. Okay, and that opens us up to possibilities. So let's chat about possibilities.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in the world is the openness that happens when we are right here, right now.
Mm,
And in mindfulness, one of the most important attitudes is the beginner's mind.
mm,
So it's basically saying that whatever is going on, we can just simply begin again right in this very moment. And when we look at the world as a beginner, like a child through the eyes of a child,
yeah,
not bringing in all these different judgments. We all judge, but when we notice that judgment, we
right.
can sort of know it's out there and not bring it in to this moment. And it just opens us up to possibilities. And to me, possibilities and choices equal freedom. And there is
Yeah.
nothing that creates more expansiveness than being open to possibilities.
I
And I
love
think
it.
both have read, the art of possibility.
Yeah.
And it's really the antithesis of being stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you've read Pathways to Possibility yet, but Rosamund wrote that. It's a couple that wrote The Art of Possibility, the Zanders. And she lived that book and she wrote that book. It was crazy. And it's amazing that instant transformations that she's gotten from her clients reacting to her work has just been amazing. And there's just so much juicy stuff in that book as well.
Because of our negativity bent from thousands of years of survival, we
Yeah.
tend to think, and fear and stress want certainty. Fear, anxiety, and stress want certainty. Even if it's the worst case scenario, at least you've got a conclusion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're not used to thinking, like, what's the best that could happen?
Mm-hmm.
Even
Yeah.
pose a question. We say, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Said, what's the best that can happen?
Yep. And
But
people, go ahead.
it's a habit. It's
Yeah.
literally a practice and a habit. None of the things that you and I are talking about are just like, oh, I'm just going to choose to think differently. It literally has to become a habituated practice.
It is, although in the book it's like really incredible where she's got the child mind and the adult mind. So you'll be shocked because you love this stuff like I do, and it is like some really instant stuff that she's got going there, which just will blow your mind like it did mine too. But I totally hear you. I totally agree with you.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I love
amazing.
it.
I like, I don't know. If you had known me a few years ago, you would never, most people would be like, she's really cool, she's really creative, but man, is she high strung, and man, is she emotionally imbalanced, and man,
Ah,
you could say something to her and man, she'll cry in a second or get pissed off. I feel like my superpower used to be like, I'm just going to be a bull in a china shop, piss people off, and then apologize, and that's how I'll create my friendships. What I mean? I feel like that was my superpower. And yet every day I just think about, what are the possibilities today? What are the possibilities of drawing people in, not for me, but being other focused? And what can I do to bring joy to other people today? What can I do? What we go through, what I call sort of this suffering and pain and this vortex. Then
right.
I feel like the second phase is when we get reintroduced to ourselves, like who we were born to be. We weren't born to
Yes.
worry. We weren't born with fear. We weren't born with judgment and all this stuff.
No, we were born in our power, our divinity, right at the level of the soul, man. We invited our souls in
Yeah.
when we were born, right? Oh
Really,
man.
that the awakening part is really reintroducing ourselves to ourselves. But
Oh yeah.
it doesn't stop there, because who cares? It's really like, what do we do? How are we inviting others to their own possibilities?
Right.
When you create the crescendo, like I'm using my voice to help people find their voice. Then they're going to use their voice to help other people find their voice. And it's this beautiful continuum and crescendo.
Yeah, I love that word. Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you so much, Shelley. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Linda. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks. I receive. Bye for now.
Bye for now.